Buffalo Bar, West Yellowstone. And right behind Kimberly and Frommel is a buffalo. And right behind that is a bar. So there we go, Buffalo Bar. So we're at a grizzly and wolf sanctuary where they grab animals that have become unruly and unmanageable because they're stealing food and become unmanageable, and they'll bring them here. And so we've got two that are showing up, Celia and Connie, who will be out here momentarily, and they've hidden food for them. So we're here to watch that. So this will be my first time. There they are. I can see it coming over there. Two of them coming out. While in West Yellowstone, we visited the Grizzly and Wolf Discovery Center just outside the park entrance. It was originally created as a refuge for bears that couldn't survive in the wild, mostly those that had become too used to human food or lost their fear of people. Most of our time, probably 70%, was spent watching the grizzlies. They rotate them through a large natural habitat with trees, logs, and a trout-filled pond. Before each session, keepers hide food around the area, and the bears come out hunting and foraging. It's not a show, it's a chance to see real bear behavior up close. You get a sense of their strength, curiosity, and intelligence. One bear dove right into the pond after a fish. It was hard to look away. We looked for the wolves, but they were sleeping somewhere out of view that day. That's nature for you. But we did check out some of the other exhibits. Rescued birds of prey, prairie dogs popping up and down in their little tunnels, and a surprisingly detailed freshwater aquarium with native fish and amphibians. It's a low-key, respectful place, not flashy, but really well done. We left with a deeper appreciation for these animals and the world they live in. Yellowstone Park, beginning of the day, in the motorhome, about 9. Crowds. I think it may get worse as the morning proceeds. We pushed to get out a little earlier than normal, but we still didn't really make it out of the site until 8:45. So here we are in a line, but we're getting close, and we'll see how today goes. Well, we're getting a little bit closer, and then my magic senior card will get me into this place free of charge. Get old and stuff starts coming to you free, yeah. Now, we are in Yellowstone Park, and there's a dog right there who doesn't know or care. Okay, look out there, you'll see a bunch of steam baths. And then right in the middle there are a herd of some sort of an animal, like bison. We're actually stopped by the side of the road here to see some stuff, but it's kind of interesting looking out the back and just seeing all the folks all the way back there on their way over to Old Faithful itself. We're probably 15 minutes away from Old Faithful, so we will probably get back on the road and head on towards there and get ourselves a parking spot. We approached the Old Faithful Inn from the rear, walking up toward its massive log structure. Didn't realize how huge it was until we were right there at the back entrance. Once we stepped inside, we found ourselves in that towering lobby, and it honestly stopped us for a second. Everything is built from lodgepole pine, beams, balconies, even the twisted branch-like railings. There's a giant stone fireplace that rises up through the center with ironwork and old lanterns, giving it a warm, timeless feel. You can look up several stories and see walkways and little hidden sitting areas. It's not just a building, it's part of the Yellowstone experience. We found ourselves a little bit different place to view the Old Faithful, which is on the second level here of the main inn. We watched Old Faithful from the second floor balcony of the inn, coffee in hand, a first for us. The Geysers not exactly on schedule, so we just relaxed and soaked it in. We ended up chatting with a retired high school history teacher. He used to live nearby and gave us great tips on what to see in Cody, Wyoming, and even Mount Rushmore. Below us, the crowd slowly gathered, all eyes fixed on that quiet cone out in the distance. And then, just like that, she erupted. Old Faithful's been putting on this show for centuries, sending steam and water over 100 feet into the air every hour or so. It works thanks to a system of underground vents and chambers. Water gets heated by the magma below, builds pressure, and finally bursts out in a towering spray. It was first recorded in 1870, and it's been captivating visitors ever since. We've seen it several times now, and honestly, it never disappoints. After the show, we grabbed a bite at the Old Faithful Inn, split a bison burger, which felt fitting. Are we going to share?
Yeah.
After leaving Old Faithful, we made the hour-plus drive over to Fishing Bridge on the north side of Yellowstone Lake. The road winds through wide meadows and lodgepole forests, then suddenly opens up to the lake, absolutely massive and stunning. We pulled off at a viewpoint and just sat there for a while, taking it all in. We usually see the part of this park, Yellowstone, from Madison down to Old Faithful. And I'm a little tired of that area. It's kind of cool, but this is another side of Yellowstone on the north side of the lake. We're actually going to be camping kind of over in that area, I believe. So we're going to kind of take a break here and just take a little break, maybe have some cup of coffee, take a quick nap before we move on. One of the nice things about having a motorhome is that you can sit here and have your feet out and look out over the most gorgeous lake with mountains on the other side of it. Snow-capped mountains out that way. Little dog in the foreground, another dog in the foreground. They know what naps are all about. We've trained them. We're in an area right now that I remember from 30 years ago where there was a significant forest fire here in Yellowstone. So here we are 30 years later, and you can see the old timber sticking up, and look in between them. All these bunch of very healthy little small trees growing up, getting ready to take the place of their granddaddies. We left Fishing Bridge in the morning and headed north on the loop road, following the Yellowstone River as it flows out of the lake. The river starts off wide and slow, but as we continued, it began to narrow and pick up speed. We passed sections where the water broke into rapids, with pine forests and open meadows on either side. It was one of the most scenic stretches we'd seen. Along the west side of the road, we started spotting steam rising in the distance. This part of the park is full of geothermal features, fumaroles, bubbling mud pots, and small geysers scattered across the landscape. It feels almost otherworldly at times, like the earth is breathing, hissing, simmering just beneath the surface. Then we came across one of the largest gatherings of bison we'd seen anywhere in the park. Dozens of them spread out across the valley. It was early summer, so we were lucky to see young calves, still that reddish color, nursing from their mothers. Just standing there, watching this massive herd in the wild, felt like stepping back in time. Eventually we made it to the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone. It's nothing like the Grand Canyon in Arizona, but equally breathtaking. The cliffs are painted in shades of yellow, white, and rust, stained by centuries of hydrothermal activity. The lower falls, plunging over 300 feet into the canyon, is just incredible to see in person. The sound, the mist, the scale of it, it's something photos just can't capture. Truly one of the highlights of the park. Well, thank you very much. Just to give a slight idea of what we're doing, we are both set up a little chair here, and then we are right on the edge of the Yellowstone Grand Canyon, so pretty cool. I'm always as impressed by the engineering of these things as I am by the view. All Alrighty, well, Kim and I've got a pretty special spot right here on one of those memory makers. You agree? Memory makers where you look back on your life and you remember special times. Well, this will be one of them. So we are on the lake shore right now, Lake Yellowstone, or I guess it'd be Yellowstone Lake. And you got Yellowstone River, which pours out of this, and then you got Yellowstone Lake. Now tonight at about 7 o'clock local, we're going to be heading out on that lake on a boat, large boat, and we're going to go right over to that area, which is called Mary Bay, which is supposed to be the Earth's largest volcano something. I'll look it up and put it up on the video. But it is Earth's biggest, so I don't know what it is. It's underneath this lake. People are not allowed to actually swim in this lake, and the reason being is because it's very cold, but then it has areas that'll fry your ass. So you can't really predict it, and things happen underneath the lake. So it's really quite interesting, but you can see way off in the background, that's the mountains. The Grand Tetons are on the other side of that. Barely got our cigars lit, but we did, and I think they're going to get through. And we're sitting here in our little chairs, way off in the background somewhere. I can't find it. There's our little car. So anyway, pleasure moment. We like it. We're all by ourselves. Left the dogs, and then we're going to in the motorhome, and we're going to go back, eat, and then head out for the little cruise. It's really an amazing lake. One of the neat things about where we are right now are those things. Look at them. One over there. This one right down here by her foot. That's bison dung, I'm pretty sure. There's no way there's cows out here. So these are probably bison. I don't think those are plops. Those are what cows put out, but they're bison. That's what they used to use for fuel on the old chuck wagon days back when they were doing their westward march. They'd pick these things up and burn them. You want to try it? Nah. So that's a little boat we're going to be getting on, but I think it's bigger than we realize once we get to it. We took a quick cruise on Yellowstone Lake, just about an hour out and back from the marina. Captain Ken handled the wheel while Charlie, a storyteller from Alabama, kept us entertained with colorful, maybe slightly exaggerated, tales about the Lake Hotel and Stevenson Island. One of the more unusual stories out here is about E.C. Waters, an early entrepreneur who launched a massive steamship named after himself on Yellowstone Lake in 1905. It was supposed to carry 500 passengers, but the park limited him to 125. Furious, Waters started causing trouble, adding a bizarre zoo to a nearby island and clashing with officials. In 1907, they'd had enough and kicked him out of the park. His unused boat sat for years, eventually got beached in a storm, and was later burned by rangers. You can still see what's left of it on Stevenson Island. Midway through, the skies turned gray and a good burst of wind and rain rolled in. It added some excitement to the ride and made the inside of the boat feel downright cozy. Between the weather, the stories, and the views, it was a memorable trip. I've said before that Yellowstone wasn't one of my favorite parks, but that was based on a limited view, mostly the geysers and the busy western areas. This time was different. We spent more time around the lake, explored the landscapes north of it, and drove that stunning stretch from the lake to the east entrance. I have to say, I've changed my mind. It's probably one of the most spectacular parks we have. We were here last year with the family renting a cabin. That was fun. This time we slid past the cabin just 11 months later in our own motorhome. Looks about the same as it did last year. Got the grill there on the back porch. Looks like it's in between guests right now. We're going to actually stop and take a picture of ourselves and our rig in front of it. But this trip took us deeper, and now leaving, it's impossible not to be completely impressed.